Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome back to English Made Easy. For anyone new here, our mission is simple. We help you learn English in the most natural, engaging, and practical way possible. We believe language isn't just about memorizing rules. It's about connecting with ideas and with each other. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that is, well, it's deep. It's the kind of conversation you might have with a close friend late at night, a conversation that really makes you think about life and love. The main question is based on a statement a friend of mine made, and it has stuck with me ever since. He said, "Some people think the ultimate proof of love is dying for someone, but isn't it even harder to live with them day after day? Accepting their flaws, forgiving mistakes, and still choosing them again and again? Dying is an instant decision. Loving someone for a lifetime is hundreds of decisions you have to keep making." Wow. When I first heard that, I had to just sit with it for a moment. And I agree with him. I want to explore that idea with you today. I know it's a very thought-provoking topic, but sometimes we do that here. We'll be exploring some powerful concepts about what it means to truly commit to another person. We're going to look at the difference between a single heroic act and a lifetime of quiet dedication. Along the way, we are going to learn some incredible advanced English words that will help you express these complex ideas yourself. These aren't just vocabulary words for an exam. These are words that will give you the power to talk about relationships, struggles, and commitment in a much more sophisticated way in your own life. I want this to be a discussion, so as we go through this, I challenge you, please let me know your counterpoints to my points of views. It would be so interesting to hear from you in the comments section below. By the end of this video, I promise you, you will understand exactly what the new advanced words mean, how to say them, and when to use them. You'll be able to see the subtle differences between them and apply them in your own conversations about life and love. And please, as I say the words, remember to say them after me, even if you're just whispering to yourself. It's so important to practice. I will be speaking with the natural rhythm of a native speaker, so you can get used to the sound and flow of real English. Ready? Let's begin. We live in a world that loves big, dramatic stories. Think about the movies, the books, the epic tales we are told. The hero often proves their love or their courage in one final climactic moment. They jump in front of the bullet. They sacrifice themselves to save the world, or just to save that one special person. It's a powerful image, isn't it? It's clean, it's noble, it's an act that is impossible to argue with. In that single moment, love is proven forever. There are no more questions, no more doubts. But real life and real love is rarely like that. The stage for most of our love stories isn't a dramatic battlefield. It's a messy kitchen, a crowded car on the way to work, or a quiet bedroom where one person is asleep and the other is awake, worrying about money or the kids. The real test of love often isn't in the grand cinematic gesture, but in the small, repeated, often boring moments of everyday life. This is where we find our first important word. The reality of a long-term relationship is often prosaic. Prosaic. The stress is on the second syllable, zay. Prosaic. Try saying it. Prosaic. Prosaic means ordinary, unexciting, or dull. It's the opposite of poetic, romantic, or dramatic. Think of prose, the ordinary language of books, versus poetry. Prose is functional. Poetry is artistic. So something that is prosaic is like the everyday, functional part of life. A synonym for prosaic could be mundane or commonplace. So when we say that love is often prosaic, we mean that the true substance of love is found in the everyday, unremarkable actions. It's in remembering to buy their favorite type of milk. It's in listening to them talk about their stressful day at work, even when you're tired too. It's in cleaning up a mess you didn't make without complaining. These actions are not dramatic. Nobody makes a movie about a man who reliably takes out the garbage every Tuesday night for 30 years. But that reliability, that commitment to the prosaic reality of sharing a life together, is a profound form of love. You might say, after the honeymoon, their life became quite prosaic, filled with work and household chores, but they were deeply happy. Or, he had a romantic idea of being an artist, but he found the prosaic reality of needing to sell his paintings very difficult. The grand gesture of dying for someone is anything but prosaic. It's epic. But the act of living for someone, that is a life built on a foundation of thousands of prosaic moments. It's choosing to find the beauty and meaning in the ordinary, day after day. It's a much more quiet story, but in many ways, it's a much more complex and difficult one to write. This commitment to the everyday brings us to the actual work of loving someone. It's not a feeling that just floats around you like a perfume. It is an active, conscious process. This process is made up of countless, small, repeated actions. These are the things you do not just once, but every single day. This brings us to our next word, quotidian. Listen carefully. Quotidian. It's pronounced quotidian. The stress is on the second syllable, tid, quotidian. Say it with me, quotidian. Quotidian simply means daily or of or occurring every day. It's very similar to prosaic, but while prosaic often carries a feeling of being dull or boring, quotidian is more neutral. It just means daily. It refers to the routine of daily life. A simple synonym is daily or everyday. The quotidian tasks of a relationship are the bedrock of intimacy. Waking up together, saying good morning, the simple, how was your day, when they walk through the door. These are the quotidian rituals that weave two lives together. They seem small, they seem automatic, but imagine if they disappeared. Imagine a home where no one asks about your day. Imagine a morning with no greeting. The absence of these small quotidian kindnesses creates a huge void. For example, you could say, the artist found inspiration not in grand events, but in the quotidian moments of city life. Or, their love wasn't about big, fancy dates. It was built on a shared comfort in their quotidian routine. So, living for someone means showing up for the quotidian parts of their life and allowing them to show up for yours. It's about finding love not just in the weekend vacation, but in the Tuesday evening on the sofa. It's a love that is practiced, not just declared. It's the decision to make that cup of tea, to give that hug, to listen to that story again and again and again. It's the relentless choice to participate in the shared daily rhythm of a life together. This is the engine room of a long-lasting love, far from the dramatic spotlight of a single heroic act. But let's be honest, this constant daily effort can be incredibly difficult. It can be draining. There are days when you don't want to be patient. There are days when you are so tired, so empty, that the idea of giving anything more to another person feels impossible. You feel touched out, talked out, completely spent. This is the dark side of living for someone, the sheer grinding effort of it all. This brings us to a very powerful word, unremitting. Let's practice that one. Unremitting. Unremitting. The stress is on the third syllable, mit. Unremitting. It has that strong T sound at the end, unremitting. Unremitting means never relaxing or slackening, incessant or constant. It often describes something that is unpleasant or demanding that feels like it will never stop. Think of unremitting pain or unremitting pressure. It's relentless. Synonyms could be ceaseless or constant or relentless. In the context of a relationship, the demand for patience, for understanding, for emotional support can sometimes feel unremitting. If your partner is going through a long period of depression, for example, your role as a supporter can feel like an unremitting responsibility. If you are the primary caregiver for children, the need for your attention is unremitting. It's from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, and sometimes even in your dreams. This is not to say that love is a burden, but it is to say that the work of love there can be an unremitting demand on your energy. You might think, after 3 years of caring for his sick mother, he was exhausted by the unremitting pressure. This is a side of love we don't often talk about. It's the part where you give and give until you feel like there's nothing left. It's the reality that living for someone means weathering these periods of unremitting difficulty together. Dying for someone is a single, finite act. You do it, and it's over. But facing unremitting challenges with someone year after year requires a kind of strength that is of a completely different nature. It requires a reserve of energy and commitment that you have to somehow refill every single day. And what happens when that energy runs out? What happens when the well is dry? The danger is that the actions of love continue, but the feeling behind them fades. The gestures become empty. This leads us to a sad but important word, perfunctory. Let's say it together. Perfunctory. Perfunctory. The stress is on the second syllable. Perfunctory describes an action or gesture carried out with the minimum of effort or reflection. It's done out of habit or duty, rather than with genuine feeling. It's like checking a box. Synonyms include mechanical, automatic, or cursory. A perfunctory kiss goodbye is a quick peck on the cheek as you're rushing out the door. Your mind's already on your first meeting of the day. A perfunctory I love you is one that is said automatically before hanging up the phone, without a moment of real connection. The action is there, the words are there, but the heart has gone out of it. You might say, he gave her a perfunctory nod, not even looking up from his newspaper. Or, their conversations had become perfunctory, a simple exchange of information about their day with no real intimacy. This is one of the greatest dangers in the long-term relationship. The daily, quotidian acts of love we talked about can become perfunctory. The choice to live for someone can decay into just coexisting. You're still there. You're still doing the things you're supposed to do, but you are doing them mechanically. It's the ghost of love. This is an exhaustion that dying for someone simply doesn't have. It's a slow fading, not a sudden end. And fighting against that, the fight to keep the feeling in the action, to make sure the I love you is meant, to ensure the hug is a real embrace, is a quiet, invisible, daily battle. It's the battle against making your love perfunctory. And it's a battle that you have to win over and over again for a lifetime. Now, at this point, it is so important that we pause, because I can feel the argument from the other side. It's a powerful one, and it deserves our full respect. I have been arguing that living for someone is harder than dying for them. But let's not trivialize the act of dying for another person. Let's look at that choice, that sacrifice, with clear eyes. To willingly give up your own life for someone else is perhaps the most selfless act a human can perform. It is a total surrender of your own existence, your own future, your own hopes and dreams for the sake of another. There's a profound word for this kind of ultimate self-sacrifice: abnegation. Let's try that one. Abnegation. 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 The stress is on the third syllable, gay. Abnegation is the act of renouncing or rejecting something, particularly something you value or desire. It is the ultimate act of self-denial. When you die for someone, you are performing an act of total abnegation. You are giving up everything. A synonym could be renunciation, or in this context, self-sacrifice. Think of a soldier throwing themselves on a grenade to save their comrades. Think of a mother pushing her child out of the way of a speeding car, knowing she will be hit instead. This is not a small thing. This is a moment of pure, undiluted love and courage that is almost impossible for most of us to comprehend. It is the final, absolute statement that says, your life is more important than mine. You could say his decision to give his entire inheritance to charity was an act of great abnegation. Or, in our context, the firefighter's choice to enter the burning building to save the family was a stunning display of abnegation. So, I am not, for 1 second, suggesting that this is easy or simple. It is a moment of supreme, terrifying, and beautiful sacrifice. The person who makes this choice is a hero, full stop. My argument is not that their sacrifice is small, but that the nature of the challenge is different from the challenge of living for someone. Abnegation is a single, blindingly bright flash of light. It is a moment of truth. But a lifetime of love is a slow, steady burn that has to be tended to every single day, in the dark, in the cold, when no one is watching. So how do we do it? If the daily grind can feel unremitting and our actions can become perfunctory, how do we choose to live for someone day after day without losing ourselves or the love that connects us? This requires a very specific kind of strength. It's not the explosive strength of a hero in one moment, but a quiet, resilient strength that bends without breaking. The word for this is forbearance. Let's practice it. Forbearance. 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 The stress is on the second syllable, bear. Forbearance. It has the word bear in it, which can help you remember it. To bear something is to endure it. Forbearance is patient self-control, restraint, and tolerance. It's the ability to hold back a sharp reply when you're angry. It's the capacity to forgive a mistake for the 10th time. It's the choice to be patient when your partner is struggling and not at their best. Good synonyms are patience, tolerance, or restraint. Forbearance is love in its most mature form. A new, passionate love doesn't require much forbearance because everything is exciting and wonderful. But a love that has lasted for 10, 20, or 50 years, that love is built on a mountain of forbearance. It's the silent decision not to bring up an old argument. It's the grace to let a small annoyance go without comment. It's the deep breath you take before responding to a criticism, choosing kindness over being right. For example, she showed incredible forbearance in dealing with her partner's constant forgetfulness. Or, a good manager leads not with anger, but with forbearance and understanding. Dying for someone is an act of passion. Living for someone is an act of forbearance. It's you, looking at this imperfect person you love, who has flaws and bad habits, who sometimes disappoints you, and saying, I choose you anyway. I will be patient with you. I will offer you grace. This is not a passive act of just putting up with things. It is an active, conscious, and incredibly difficult choice to exercise restraint and kindness over and over again. It is the quiet engine of sustained devotion. This leads us to the positive side of all this effort. We've talked about the struggle, the drain, the potential for things to become mechanical. But what does it look like when it's done right? What is the ideal we are striving for in living for someone? The love we are describing is not lazy. It is not passive. It is incredibly attentive and careful. The word that captures this perfectly is assiduous. Let's try it. Assiduous. 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 The stress is on the second syllable sid. Assiduous. Assiduous means showing great care, attention, and perseverance. It describes someone who is diligent, meticulous, and works very hard at something. An assiduous student is one who studies carefully every single day. An assiduous gardener is one who tends to their plants with great detail and effort. Synonyms would be diligent, meticulous, or conscientious. To love someone in an assiduous way means you pay attention. You notice when they're feeling down, even if they say they're fine. You remember the little details that are important to them. You make a consistent, careful effort to nurture the relationship. It's the opposite of perfunctory. A perfunctory love is lazy. An assiduous love is hardworking. For example, he was an assiduous student, and his hard work paid off with top grades. Or in a relationship, she was assiduous in her care for him after his surgery, attending to his every need. This is the ultimate goal when living for a loved one. It is to be an assiduous partner. It's to say, this relationship is important to me, so I will give it my careful, consistent attention. It's about fighting off the slow decay of routine by actively, diligently choosing to care. It's the work of noticing, listening, and responding with intention. So while dying for someone is a single act of abnegation, living for them is a lifetime of assiduous effort. It's the constant, diligent work of showing up, paying attention, and choosing to care even on the most prosaic and difficult days. Now, let's zoom out a little and talk about the bigger picture of a shared life. A life is not a straight, smooth road. It's full of unexpected turns, highs and lows, triumphs and disasters. A relationship that lasts has to be strong enough to survive all of these changes. There's a beautiful, sophisticated word for these ups and downs of life: vicissitudes. This one is a little tricky, so let's take it slow. Vicissitudes. Tudes. Vicissitudes. The stress is on the second syllable, cis. Vicissitudes. Vicissitudes are the changes of circumstances or fortune, typically ones that are unwelcome or unpleasant. It refers to the natural ups and downs of life. It's a formal and powerful word to describe the challenges and changes that life throws at you. A simpler way to say it would be ups and downs, changes in fortune, or hardships. Every long-term relationship will face vicissitudes. A partner might lose their job. a health crisis might appear out of nowhere. There might be financial struggles, family dramas, or periods of personal doubt. These are the storms that test the foundation of a relationship. You could say, their company survived all the economic vicissitudes of the past decade. Or, their marriage had weathered many vicissitudes, and it had only made them stronger. Living for someone means standing with them through all of the vicissitudes of life. It's easy to love someone when everything is going well, when you're both healthy, happy, and successful. But can you still love them when they are at their lowest point? Can your relationship withstand the shock of a sudden negative change? This is a test that a single act of dying doesn't face. Dying for someone is a way to escape all future vicissitudes, but living for them means you are signing up to face all of life's unpredictable, often painful changes together. It is a promise to be an anchor in their storm and to trust that they will be an anchor in yours. It is a commitment, not just to the person they are now, but to the person they will become through all of life's unpredictable journeys. So far, we have talked about the practical actions, the emotional states, and the external challenges of a long-term relationship. But there's another layer to this, a concept that is very modern, but also very true. It's the idea of emotional labor. Let's define this carefully. Emotional labor. The words themselves are simple, but the concept is deep. Emotional labor is the process of managing your feelings and expressions to fulfill the emotional requirements of a job or a relationship. It's the invisible, often unacknowledged work of keeping other people comfortable and happy. Imagine a flight attendant who has to smile and be calm even when a passenger is rude. That's emotional labor. In a relationship, it's things like suppressing your own bad mood to cheer up your partner, being the one who always has to initiate difficult conversations about the relationship, absorbing your partner's anger or frustration without reacting in kind, remembering all the birthdays, planning all the social events, and generally keeping the social and emotional life of the family running smoothly. This isn't about being nice. It's work. It consumes energy. And in many relationships, this labor is not shared equally. The commitment to live for someone often involves performing a huge amount of emotional labor. You become the keeper of the emotional temperature of the home. You anticipate needs. You soothe hurt feelings. You manage conflicts. This is a profound part of showing up for someone day after day. For example, she was tired of performing all the emotional labor in her friendship, always being the one to check in and offer support. Or, he realized that part of his stress came from the emotional labor of constantly having to appear confident and in control at work. This is a hidden, prosaic, and often unremitting form of devotion. It doesn't look like a heroic sacrifice. There are no medals for emotional labor. But a relationship cannot survive without it. Living for someone means willingly taking on your share of this work. It means noticing when your partner is carrying too much of it and stepping up to help. It's about managing not just your own life, but the shared emotional space you inhabit together. It is one of the most difficult and most loving things a person can do. After exploring all these challenges, the prosaic nature of love, the unremitting demands, the danger of perfunctory actions, the vicissitudes of life, and the drain of emotional labor, we come back to our central idea. What is the ultimate goal? What is the beautiful ideal that makes all this hard work worthwhile? It is the state of sustained devotion. This isn't a single C2 word, but a powerful concept built from two words you already know. But together, they mean something more. Sustained means to continue for an extended period without interruption. Devotion is love, loyalty, or enthusiasm for a person or activity. So, sustained devotion is love that doesn't just exist as a feeling, but is actively maintained over a long period. It is the conscious and continuous choice to be loyal, loving, and committed. It's the opposite of a fleeting passion. It's the opposite of a perfunctory relationship. It's the successful outcome of all the hard work, the forbearance, the assiduous care, the emotional labor. Sustained devotion is the marathon, not the sprint. The grand, heroic act of dying for someone is a moment of ultimate devotion, yes, but it is not sustained. Its power is in its finality. The power of living for someone is in its continuation. It's in the choice made every morning when you wake up next to them to say, yes, again today. Yes, I will be patient. Yes, I will pay attention. Yes, I will face the day's challenges with you. Yes, I will choose you. This sustained devotion is not as glamorous as dying for love. It won't be the subject of epic poems, but it is, I believe, a deeper, more difficult, and ultimately more profound testament to the power of love. It's the quiet, steady light that burns for a lifetime, a light that has been carefully tended through wind and rain and darkness. It's the 100,000 small choices that add up to a life. The final test of love isn't whether you take a bullet for them. It's whether you can see their half-empty cup of coffee on the counter day after day and still be glad they're home. Do you agree? Or is the ultimate sacrifice still the ultimate proof? I would be so fascinated to read your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation together. Thank you so much for listening and for thinking through this with me today. If you want to improve your English faster, a great way is to make listening a daily habit. Come back, listen again, and let these words and ideas become a natural part of your English mind.